everybody. This is LowBlowRadio podcast. I'm Eric.
I'm Chris.
And we're going to give you a blow-by-blow of AEW Dynamite. It's Wednesday, February 24th, 2021. Chris is back here with me. We're trying to get back on our formula here. We're a little out of sync with our intros and all that kind of stuff. But
we do too many shows. That's why.
I know. We're on
Between
the radio.
this, the afternoon show, the fucking radio wrestling show, the fucking children's wrestling show on Saturday mornings. It's just retarded.
It never ends, but I got to get my intros straight. Maybe I have to start scripting these things out because we're doing too many things. I got to make sure we have all the flow going properly. But anyway, welcome to Low Blow Radio podcast here. We are going to do a blow-by-blow of AEW Dynamite Wednesday, February 24th, as I mentioned. We're leading into Revolution here. And this was, I assume, a pre-taped Dynamite. I didn't check ahead of time or anything, but felt a little bit more like their pre-taped ones that they had in the past. That wasn't necessarily full of surprises, but sort of, furthering the ball, rolling forward kind of thing.
Being pre-taped would explain why Paul White wasn't there tonight.
Yeah, that would be a big thing too.
I don't know. I didn't see spoilers online, but I wasn't actively searching them out this week either for tonight's show.
Right.
So I don't know. I think a lot of it has to do with next week's being the Crossroads dubbed event of the special kind of Dynamite as the go home to Revolution.
Yeah.
This felt like a building block on the road to something else as opposed to a big show. And we've had such massive main events in the last several weeks running on Dynamite. It was always going to be hard to keep that roll going when you've got pay-per-view level main events as your Dynamite main event. You had to run out eventually. And so, I think kudos to them for having the match that on paper was Lance Archer versus Rey Fenix, and having something on the line for it as the main event tonight was probably as good a filler main event as you can get, following on from the last couple of weeks. Had this been the main event 2 months ago, 3 months ago, it's arguably seen as a bigger match, I think, than it is now, just because of the timing and circumstances of the last several weeks, where the story's been going with the crossover stuff, how heavy we've seen Moxley and Omega in those matches, right?
Yeah, no, I would agree with that, but and almost maybe argue in the sense that Phoenix and Lance have been featured heavily in those storylines as well as peripheral entities. So a nice place to see them featured heavily here in the main event, which we will get to later on. But on paper, not necessarily as marquee as some of the other main events we've got on Dynamite as of late, but due to what is to come, eventually you're going to lead into some of this, but I think they still delivered for a good matchup. So we had plenty to get over here, but what I was kind of anticipating to maybe be the main event, just due to the person in it, ended up being the opening matchup, Jon Moxley taking on Ryan Nemeth, which made sense though. I mean, Ryan is great, but not necessarily someone you're going to throw in to your main event match. You want to necessarily have the draws on both ends of the spectrum there, but a great way to kick things off. What did you make it as?
Yeah, well, nice and quick.
Yeah.
Give Nemeth that platform, Little Ziggler, the platform of Dynamite against Jon Moxley. Yeah. Great big match to start off. It was really, I felt it was more about Moxley's addiction promo after than the match. Highlight for Jon Moxley, right? I mean, he's not the champ anymore, but have him open the show, have him go with the big promo, solidifies him and cements him as upper echelon talent. We're supposed to see him as one of the big stars, the biggest star on the babyface side of the company, and this did its job. So,
sees that the passion's still there with him, the drive to get a big quick win, and then cut that, big studded promo afterwards. A fantastic drive from Jon Moxley heading into the matchup with Kenny Omega at Revolution. So we're looking forward to that, and not a bad showcasing of Jon Moxley here. Not as heavy into the New Japan kind of crossover stuff or anything this week in whichever, but say that's not necessarily run its course, but maybe had its place, and then we will get to it later on. Right now, it's good to focus on the Kenny and Jon storyline.
Yeah, and they've sold that match on AEW now.
Yeah,
right. It's not their match to sell per se. They've gotten their bid out of it. So, no, I thought this was great for as far as selling their next main event for his title challenge and the whole exploding deathmatch barbed wire scenario. Yeah, I thought it was great. Yeah, good opening and a different opening for AEW.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes we get the hot tag or something like that. So to get a a big marquee main eventer like John Moxley kicking the show off was a great way to start things here. We had, I think there was a few other video packages with, introing the night, leading you into a few things, stuff with the Young Bucks and their parents heading into the arena. Some other things before the next matchup. Was there anything else? I'm trying to remember if I missed a note there.
No, I'll be honest. I had some feed cut in and out things, and so I struggled bouncing around things between this. I do know that we got the Varsity Blondes and Team Taz next.
Yeah, I knew that match was coming up next. I just couldn't remember if there was anything leading in before that. But I think they were just kind of building the night, letting you know what was to come, and other stuff that was kind of going on. But yeah, the Bucks kind of showing up and the things with the inner circle and whatnot. But the next matchup was the Varsity Blondes taking on Ricky Starks and Brian Cage from Team Taz, going into their match at Revolution as well. Nice to see them showcased here in a big way. Getting a big win, and the Varsity Blondes getting a good showcase though against Team Taz. They really got some rub here in a few, near falls. You certainly didn't think they were going to get the win, but some close calls certainly.
Yeah, they made it look great. It's always, you get the case of this, what this would be the traditional opener of an AEW Dynamite tag match in that hot tag opener style, and in that typical fashion, the team that's supposed to go over. And the underdog team managed again to pull off those real close, near upset spots. Brian Pillman Jr. just looks awesome. It's way too early, but I just want him to beat the shit out of Garrison and get out of this tag team and move on, because he's got such ring presence. He's so big with all of his movements. He looks bigger than he is.
Yeah,
you can just feel the charisma off the guy as well. Yeah. And Garrison's not bad at all. I think he's a little bit green, but I think he's got a lot of talent, and I think he's a decent raw guy. But I think he should be tagged up with someone more at his level right now, or a lot older that he can learn from and develop with. I think Pillman's not the right match, because I think Pillman's like 3 or 4 levels ahead right now and ready to move into like an actual program and move into his own on the card.
Yeah, no, I think he's got the selling down to a great point, as well as his offense is fantastic. He's really just coming into his own in the in-ring stuff. As much as it's comparisons to his father, he's very much himself at this point. And yeah, I'd like to see more Brian Pillman for sure. As much as I'm enjoying the Varsity Blondes, I would reiterate that sentiment that he could certainly go on a singles push at any time now. Before that.
Different style from his dad, but I see comparisons as far as body language and just psychology use. Yeah, and just seems to have a grasp of what he's supposed to be doing, where he's supposed to be, why he's the facials and the mannerisms and the doing of what he's doing, and having purpose.
Yeah, time and place for this kind of thing. Yeah, no, he seems to just get wrestling, so you can tell he's a fan, and good showing for him here. And Ricky Starks and Brian Cage looking really strong going into the match with Sting and Darby. Some good strong offense from them. Brian Cage getting the drill claw finish, which I always enjoy. That finisher is fantastic. He hits it really, really well, and picking up the victory here. As you would anticipate, more than likely Sting was going to have something to say about getting powerbombed last week. And
Shivani made it very clear we were going to be seeing the Stinger.
And Taz was certainly putting over how we haven't heard or seen from Darby since they towed him away in the body bag. So they were obviously going to be paying off that a little bit leading into the matchup at Revolution. We got a video package looked like Sting must have been driving a car which was towing Darby. Darby then.
Why didn't Sting let him ride in the back seat at least?
He just loves that body bag. It's his only mode of travel, and I guess for the diversion that you would think that it is the place where Darby likes to hang out. So that when Sting ended up walking out, you assumed Darby was in the body bag, but instead it was Hook in the body bag, which it caused Taz to get really upset. We look up into the rafters, and it's Darby Allin. He comes sliding down on the most protected, contained rig, very safe, sliding in from the rafters, no cause for incident whatsoever, and is able to use his skateboard and chase off Brian Cage and Ricky Starks here. So yeah, a big sort of a very wrestling-y moment. You wish there was a big crowd to have Darby, coming in through or whichever, but
I don't know. a big crowd, there would have been too many people in the seats that those zip ties had to end up hanging on to because how low it had to be to let him into the ring at the end, right?
That's true.
He smashed Ricky Starks with the skateboard and knocked him out of the ring. We actually finally got to see Sting pull off some of the old Sting as he threw Brian Cage into the corner, gave him the Stinger Splash, and then set him up for the Scorpion Death Drop and hit that for the first time in a long time.
Yes, yeah, I forgot about that. That was very, very cool to see. I couldn't believe I had forgot that even happened. But yeah, it's just sort of great to see the Stinger really in action here, and yeah, leading into, again, you'll probably see a few of those spots, but more just sort of street fighty stuff going into obviously the street fight. But yeah, no, I'm still all for the Stinger here for this AEW debut.
What I thought was it's such a good thing that he picked those particular moves back in the day as his finishers. Thank God he didn't use a tombstone or a jackhammer to botch in his 60s, right? So listen to the kids. If you're going to pick a finisher, pick something you can do into your 60s easily. You'll make your career longer.
Exactly, yeah. Other than Hogan's probably not happy he was doing a leg drop. That's got to be terrible for your hips.
No, yeah, not as easy as that. Something like, the RKO. The RKO is the ultimate finisher, but even Triple H was smart because he's going to be able to dish that pedigree out until he's 80.
Yeah, other than your opponents don't always want to drop to their knees, but as long as they're willing to take it. or take
Triple H, he's going to be the boss when he's 80 by that time. He will be the CEO. They'll do what they fucking tell him. Next, we had Miro, Penelope, and Kip are sitting on a couch, and they're chatting. Was it Alex Marvez with them or the other jabroni?
I can't even remember. I think it was Marvez. No, it...
Was it Shivani?
It was Shivani, yeah.
Yeah, it was Shivani. Yeah, all right. It was one of the jerks. Sitting with Miro, Penelope, and Kip. And what did you think of this promo?
I don't know where I fall on who to put at fault with this stuff. Is it Miro? Is it AEW dropping the ball? I just don't know. Am I just not into this? It's not hitting anything for me. What's it doing for you?
Miro's constant Charles the Butler, Charles Butler, you come home. Come home, Charles Butler. I know you are a good man. I know you. It's so dumb. And then in the same breath, Orange is child and making you, and you do childish things. I teach you how to be man. Come home to me. Pick a fucking gimmick, dude. Are you jokey and comedy, or are you trying to teach people how to be a man because you're a real man? Because you're not acting like you're acting like a fucking imbecile. And I'm not into it because I'm not interested in Miro. And I don't, I agree with you. I don't know if it's Miro's fault. I tend to want to blame him because he personally, on his own channels where no script writers said it was WWE's creative, screwed me all the time. And now I'm going to a place where I'm allowed to be creatively free and do what I want to do.
Well, and that's how much you hear from the other guys here in AEW that have the freedom to come to creative and have ideas that they're able to express and go forward with to try out and see how they play out and stuff like that. That's the only idea that I could put in my head, that this is what he is wanting to do, or what the group of them have thought of wanting to do, and that they're letting him do, or they're, don't have as much hold on the reins. And that's why it feels so loosey-goosey, and they just feel that, the rub of, hey, it's Miro has worn off months ago for me. So I needed something. I was willing to give it up to the wedding to, relieve some of that. And maybe I'll give it to the Revolution thing to finally see something. Because again, his in-ring stuff has been fantastic, but his in-ring stuff was great in WWE too. We know there's so much more Miro has to offer. And I'm going to say maybe with just, I'm going to say it's not even like a step down by any means, but maybe with the addition of these new shows and stuff like that with AEW, something like the new Dark show, or having more matches on Dark and having more character work on Dark would just let him become more of understanding of what he wants to present to the audience. Because I find every time he's put on camera, he's sort of like, oh, okay, today it's all this energy, but then I'm also gonna want to make you laugh because I'm gonna eat this paper, but then I'm gonna spit it at Shivani because I'm still intense and crazy. And it's like, okay, I get that that's Miro, but is that it doesn't work. So
pick a guy, and if that is what he wants to do and beat, then you're mid card for life, and it's as simple as that. It feels like from his WWE stuff to now been a complete side shift. If you could even say a side shift, he might have even taken a step down or backwards, which is incredible to say. And I think the person I'd be most interested to hear from in this is Orange Cassidy. I feel like he's taken a bit of a step back, being quagmired down into this feud after what he had in the fire he came out of with Jericho.
Yeah.
Right? We saw him in matches with Cody right after that, and he was
TNT title matches.
TNT title matches, like, and then all of a sudden,
yeah, like
he's kind of petered into this thing, and yeah, I just feel like it's not done any of them any favors. So
yeah, maybe it's just bad pairing and maybe just bad, story, whichever. I just need to get away from this, whether it needs to be him versus Kip, and we can make Kip the face or him the face, or Kip turns on him. I just need something.
I think we all know
there. So.
I think we all know what should have happened.
Well, we all know what Chris thinks should have happened. That's for sure. And if you don't, make sure you check out our clips, because I made sure to put a nice montage together for everybody. But moving on, match-wise, we had Brandon Cutler taking on Jake Hager. This was sort of set up after the Young Bucks match last week with Santana and Ortiz, and after the Inner Circle got their beat down on the Young Bucks, Brandon Cutler being the first of the Young Bucks friends to come out and save him, getting there before the Good Brothers were able to chase off the Inner Circle. So
great. Brandon's here.
Yeah, he's like, oh, well, I don't know how much luck we're going to get with Brandon. Yeah, he was taken out pretty quickly by Jake Hager last weekend, taken out pretty quickly here by Jake Hager as well. But
nice mask, though.
Yeah.
I do like his
character. Yeah, for sure.
And Hager came out all by himself, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That there wasn't anybody from the Inner Circle, either Jericho or Max, or one of Santana or Ortiz.
Yeah,
that nobody came out with him was interesting. I like when
once you know what happened later on, it would explain why Jericho and MJF weren't there. But yeah, I'm surprised Santana and Ortiz weren't there for sure.
I love those couple of standing the big drift over suplexes.
Yes,
he only did the couple of them. Not quite Suplex City, more like Suplex Boulevard. He took him to. That was decent squish kind of match, and but then here's the Bucks to make the save from the end, and then just awesome. After, as you mentioned, we'd seen Daddy and Mummy Buck show up with the boys early in the night, checking out their truck and taking selfies with the boys on the back of a truck.
Yes, it was
like
interesting.
The arrogant thing you would do.
Yeah, they'd had highlights of that's what it was. They had highlights of last week as well, that they were ringside for the matchup with the Young Bucks and Santana and Ortiz. And then the parents of the Bucks were here with them attending the arena, showing up. Yeah, once again, just introducing them to the audience. And hey, you set up a red herring like that. It's nice to pay it off later on in the episode, and we certainly got the payoff here. We get a video package with Chris Jericho and MJF hanging out by the same truck, and they said, "Hey, you left some trash out here," and it was Papa Buck all bloodied up, and they tossed him into both. I'm gonna say the truck they're standing in front of has photos of both Nick and Matt Jackson on them. They throw Papa Buck into both sides of the truck doors, smearing blood over both of the Bucks. A great visual with the bleeding father there, and the tag team of Jericho and MJF looking really strong. No, I really liked this leading into their tag match.
It was a really good segment. My only little qualm with it was he caught us. I thought at the very start of the spot, Jesus, I hope that's fake blood, or they bladed him way too fucking deep, because that's a lot on his forehead. And then they panned out a little too far, and you got the shot of his hand.
Oh no!
He was like this, and you could see all of the pot of blood that he's supposed to dab on. You're like, you're supposed to keep that off scene, dummy.
Yeah,
but he's a rookie. It's not his fault.
Yeah.
So, but it was a great shot, and then both of their comments, and then the quick pose off and the run out of the room. That was fantastic.
Yeah,
jump in the car and speed away as Jackson chases him down.
Maybe that explains where Santana and Ortiz were too. They were the drivers of the vehicle, and they couldn't.
Quite possibly, more than likely.
At least one of them had to be, I guess.
Then we got a promo for Crossroads, the special of Dynamite next week, which will lead into Revolution. It was specifically, this first one was on. They went all over it quite a lot tonight. The big Shaquille O'Neal and Jade Cargill versus Cody Rhodes and Red Velvet next week. I'm assuming this is the main event of next week's show.
I would imagine Shaq's had the most.
Fuck, man, I'd be conditioned to believe Shaq is the next to Thor level of wrestling, apparently. So
yes, we've had a few of these video packages with Jade over the last few weeks, and then now a bit more featuring Shaq ringside with her, and then now we had the AEW commentators putting Shaq over. So I'll wait and see what they present us next week before I start criticizing it too much. I don't know what to anticipate, but It's not my most anticipated match of next week.
I tend to feel that Red Velvet is going to gain so much from this because she's really good.
Yeah,
her
and Jade,
character's awesome. Her characterization is great. She's great speaking. So as long as and she's not going to be the reason the match is a clusterfuck. If it is next week, it's going to be on the great big lumbering non-wrestler in the ring, right? I mean, everyone knows this going in. So she's going to. She's elevated already past what she wasn't even supposed to be in the match. Yeah. So she's already won. But I feel like she's going to end up with quite a ticket out of this. So good for her.
For sure, and I hope she's able to help Jade present herself in a great fashion as well. We haven't been able to see her in-ring debut, so that's more so what I'm going to be looking forward to in that matchup, to see what kind of in-ring performance we're going to get out of Jade. I would assume her and Red Velvet have been working out a lot of stuff ahead of time. They have the space and the areas to do so. Why not make sure it's your best foot forward on the first performance? So I think that's what I would hope is going to be the most focused on thing of the match, and the most remembered thing coming out of it as well.
I guess that's my I feel like there's almost more pressure on Jade because she seems to be the obvious person this was built around, the debut of and the bringing into the foundation, right? As much as Shaq is being used as our media manipulation and get the eyeballs on it, Shaq ain't sticking around. This is not right. We all know this isn't. That's not what he's being used for. He's not the building block for Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah,
so this was a building block for Jade.
Yeah.
So now that I feel like Red Velvet's lucked into this spot, no one's expecting her to have to do this or have to do that. We all want to see what Jade can do.
Yeah.
Right. Red, I feel like she's just gonna get a benefit no matter what. She gets a pass if anything goes wrong, and if it goes great, she's gonna look really good. So, yeah. Circumstantially good for her, but I'm not, because I don't disagree with you. I'm really interested in what Jade does. I just happen to feel like Red's the one that's like, hey, lucky break, girl. You earned money out of this and gotten some extra rub on your name, whatever happens. So
yeah, for nothing else that you ended up looking like Brandy, and it paid off that you were good in the ring as well. So that all worked out. So next matchup, we had Hangman Page taking on Isaiah Cassidy in a really good hard-hitting matchup between these two, leading off of last week's build to the big money match between Matt Hardy and Hangman Page at Revolution. Isaiah Cassidy attacking Hangman Page last week, and then setting up this matchup here. What did you make of this one?
I thought it was a good match. I mean, what you kind of expect from this kind of thing. Hangman was obviously going to win it. Yeah. It was just what kind of thing can Isaiah put on? He's a great tag team wrestler, but arguably just as good as a singles competitor. I thought this was a good match.
Yeah.
Easily as entertaining as anything else I've seen Hangman do so far with other competitors. It was good. And it tells the story, and it worked out well. They had TH2 at ringside with the Dark Order come down to try to even the score out when the going got rough against Hangman, because they're still buddies despite the fact he couldn't join them.
That's right. Well, if you recognize his lower third, he did make some new friends, according to that. So it's nice to see that he is, not a lonesome cowboy no more. So he is being able to make some friends again. And yeah, it was the typical kind of Hangman match. Enough kind of other people lingering outside to kind of keep your interest as well, furthering the stories with TH2, Matt Hardy, as well as the Dark Order guys coming out later on. So yeah, I think just enough to further this moving forward. It didn't need to be anything more than it was, and they put on a good matchup. So
really nice fadeaway slam and a kip up by Hangman during it.
Yeah, nice to see the story in it about working the arm, that Matt had smashed the arm so early in the matchup, and that it really was affecting Hangman for the whole match. I liked that. You knew it was going to be affecting the buckshot lariat, which then brought into your minds again him using the dead eye, and then when he was able the catching Isaiah with it was amazing, because Isaiah getting a little overconfident, going for a destroyer off the second rope, getting caught into the dead eye. Really, really good setup for the finale there. Really enjoyed that, and reminds you of that other devastating finish that Hangman has that he doesn't bust out that often anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Kenny and Don Callis need to have a sit down and discuss who's the leak, who keeps telling Marvez where they're going to fucking be, because he's not using a crystal ball to find them. Someone is telling Alex Marvez where they are, right?
Maybe they just
Zach's
tell
so surprised, but I'm pretty sure it's him.
Maybe they're just shocked. They tell AEW they can send a cameraman, but they're just shocked that Marvez comes every time too. They're like, we didn't say Marvez could come. We said the cameraman was allowed.
And let me get this straight. So is Kenny building the fucking exploding ring?
Or he's testing stuff. I don't know. I loved this though. I loved his getup. Like it's all torn apart. Like Kenny is losing his mind. It's they're building a Moxley extermination chamber. It was amazing. Like
you asked for the cleaner. You got Professor Fucked Up from some James Bond movie that never happened. Like
exactly. Yeah, we're gonna see him as like. It's just going to be like Rick and Morty, basically. But yeah, like, he will have gone full blown insane, and I can't wait to see the end result and what he comes up with for John Moxley.
So you were going to have to help out on the ending of the next match, the women's qualifier or tournament match. Nyla Rose with no Vicky, which I was confused about that. I don't believe they actually mentioned Vicky even. And I hadn't heard that she'd gone anywhere away from Nyla on a dark recent or anything. So
they're still, booked as the Vicious Vixens or whatever together. But yeah, oddly not featured here with Nyla. I was surprised about that too.
Maybe because it was heel versus heel in it, so that you don't put Vicky out there because she doesn't want to really heel it up that much more. I don't know.
And I think in the matchup, she would have had the reasons to have stopped Rebel all the time. So that would have,
maybe that's
had more and more interference and more, shenanigans to deal with and more stories to, or spots to have to figure out.
So Dr. Britt Baker,
a little more focused.
Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, still one of my absolute favorite things to watch on this show. Like she's just been such a highlight since the very first week of it. Like she's so good.
Yeah.
The match, as much of it as I saw, was awesome. And then it went to picture in picture. And then I didn't get it back from picture in picture until FTR and Tully Blanchard were on the screen.
Oh, that's
next week.
Man.
So sadly, I don't know what happened at the end.
Well,
it was going really good. It seemed like it was like Britt had it in hand because she was taking some of the heat from Big Nyla, but she could keep on sneaking her way back through past the big shenanigans.
Right. So like when did she torn the turnbuckle off? Was that before the break?
That I didn't see that. So if that happened in picture or just after, I
think that was in picture in picture. She tore the turnbuckle off. Maybe you didn't even see. Rebel had got on the ringside knocked off by Nyla, and then Nyla did the kind of corner spot that she does, senton type deal onto Rebel, and then she tried to do it onto Britt, but she missed, and then they were kind of rolling back and forth with her almost getting into the mandible claw finish because she had the glove on, and then it was a bit more back and forth. Nyla, she did when she rammed her into the corner, it was like it was her arm or whatever, so then she was kind of selling the arm for the rest of the kind of matchup. It was affecting her to do the beast bomb. She hit one beast bomb but wasn't able to capitalize on the pin. Britt tried to then capitalize on another mandible claw, wasn't able to, and then Nyla got another beast bomb and got the win. So that's where I was like, it was a good matchup. It had a great spot on the card and in the tournament, but I felt like a bit of an unfortunate turn of events in the end. I didn't want Nyla to go over. I'm much more of a Britt Baker fan, and I feel that again, I'll benefit of the doubt. We'll see what happens in the semifinals. She has to lose in those semifinals, though. There's no reason for her to be, I get it in the first round of a tournament, maybe being dominant and that kind of stuff, but she doesn't need a tournament to get the rub here. Britt and the other women I find are going to benefit far more from this than Nyla would. We've already seen her kind of do this dominant matchups and stuff like that. Yeah. So a little disappointing in that sense. I really wanted Britt to be moving forward here. So a little unfortunate there. So we'll see what happens when Nyla takes on the winner of Thunder Rosa and Riho next week. It makes me a little curious about that one too. I guess it happens on Sunday on their Bleacher Report special.
They've been really pushing the Bleacher Report special show.
Yeah,
which is a big deal, to be fair. Bleacher Report is a massive website. So
I think that's I was curious about that at first. I thought maybe Thunder Rosa was going to go ahead because they do the rematch with Britt, but now that it's Nyla, you can go either way because Rio could have the rematch with Nyla. Or you could have Thunder Rosa. I'd like to see Thunder Rosa go over at this point to set up the
Yeah, me
match
too.
with Sheeta. I think it makes the most sense.
But I'm
Unless you're going to
surprised
have
they'd go with that rematch as well.
one.
It's like, which rematch do you want to see, even all the way through now?
And the only other thing that I would say with the NYLA thing is on the Japanese bracket, they've very much been showcasing Ryu Mitsunaki, who would basically be the Japanese equivalent of NYLA. She is like a bigger of the Joshi. She's not one of the smaller ones. More than likely seeming that she could win unless Yuka Sakazawa gets a kind of upset over her. So we can have that either on both ends of the brackets, or you have the two kind of big heavy hitters going into the finals that then take on Sheeta. And if that's the case, I'd much more want Ryo Matsunaki winning. And if she gets a win over NYLA, then I'm okay with that too. It's all about how it plays out. I just don't need NYLA necessarily getting to that position. But if it was to get there for Ryo Matsunaki to then be a new big star, because if she gets a huge performance over Nyla, which I think she could, she just beat Aja Kong on the other show very much in a similar form as she could to Nyla. So I could see them going that route, and then I would be okay with it. But yeah, at first I really wanted this to be a rub for Britt, because I think she'd be great at the top of the women's division, but maybe we're not there yet, I guess.
Well, we will see where it ends up. As I said, my thing picked back in at FTR, pushing and hyping up Tully Blanchard, the engine of the Four Horsemen, over 30 years since he last stepped into the professional national wrestling ring. And we're going to see him next week. Pretty much against Marco Stunt, I assume. I don't expect we'll see him too much against the other two. Maybe a quick back-off spot against Luchasaurus. But...
Yeah, I guess I'm sure Tully knows what to get involved in and what not to get involved in. I'm sure they've thought these things through. There'd be a reason he's, willing to step back in there with the safety of Jurassic Express, as well as working with FTR. Really gonna be a fun matchup. I think a headlining one for next week's Crossroads Dynamite, or whatever they were calling it.
The Crossroads. I'm just looking forward to seeing FTR back in the ring again. We've really been missing them for the last month.
Yeah, I'm gonna say since the FT, or since they took on Jurassic Express the last time, I guess, with the or I guess they were just ringside for that, and then they got involved, and then they got pushed out from the Battle Royal and things like that. So from their suspension, so yeah, good to see them back in the ring here. So
Dax's single match against Jungle Boy was the last in-ring match they've had at all, right?
Yeah.
So Paul White will also debut next week. The Big Show. Next week on the AEW, because he signed today.
I think I said, if you only watch us here on YouTube or this version of our Low Blow Radio show, we did cover that quite extensively, more so on our radio show today. But yeah, if you weren't aware of that news, the Big Show is All Elite. Paul White has now signed with All Elite Wrestling.
If you weren't aware of that, why are you watching this fucking show?
Hopefully we weren't the one debuting that for you and giving you that big shock reveal. But hey, if we were, congratulations, I guess. And we'll hopefully break some more news for you here down the road. But we will be seeing the debut of him next week. Also made me feel that this was a bit more of a pre-taped episode, saving some of those big surprises for a live event one. But I'd have to look more into that. But should be a good debut for him for sure.
We had a Face of Revolution qualifier next week, as 10 from the Dark Order will take on Max Caster. There was another match they said here, and then of course we've also got the Cody Rhodes and Red Velvet taking on Shaquille O'Neal and Jade Cargill.
Yes, I can't remember what the other match was. Yeah, but
there was another one they threw in there. I didn't catch it.
Couldn't remember either, because that it was a cluster, because then they ran through the whole Revolution card. It was a ton of great matches that were all sort of down the line of between next week and then Revolution on the weekend. All kinds of great stuff on the line coming up.
Revolution, I'm super hyped for that. I mean, that card as they ran down that just looks phenomenal, and they've done a really tremendous job of, once again, each match has story, each match has stakes.
Yeah.
Each match I've got a legitimate interest to be invested in, and it feels like the matches that didn't quite make the cut for that are what's filling in next week's card.
For sure, and then they still feel they feel like a bit more precursor to it that maybe didn't quite have the hype leading into the other one, or the ones that have some really big hype, especially the FTR one. I feel could have been on the pay-per-view, but then you wouldn't necessarily want to have the Miro Orange Cassidy one as down on the Dynamite now, or maybe it would have been an easier spot. I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm more interested in the FTR match than I am in that match, so but that's, yeah, I don't know. I think they originally wanted to have it built to be the big Miro pay-per-view match with Orange Cassidy. It just hasn't felt like it's that special, but that's
I
is
agree.
what it is.
Then we had our main event of this evening, Rey Fénix taking on Lance Archer in a Face of Revolution ladder match qualifier for the 5th spot, I suppose, on the ladder, right?
Yes, they announced Pento Zero M was already in there. Cody and Scorpio Sky already announced for the ladder match. They said the very last person will be a surprise still, so we'll get the competitors of 10 and Caster next week, and then this qualifying match here. So Lance Archer taking on Rey Fénix, who have been featured quite heavily in the main event storylines as of late, teaming with John Moxley, taking on the Good Brothers and Kenny, as well as getting involved with Eddie Kingston and his family and that kind of breakup storyline. So pretty heavily featured in the main event scene, but now a nice kind of focus on just these two in this singles match. And you really got to see a lot of Rey Fénix once again. He is just one hell of a fucking superstar. Holy shit.
He's great, but tonight was one of those, like, you trying to do a little too much and too many that, like, they're the three spots, individual botched moments that could have been nasty. And like the first one where he just slipped up on the chops into the corner. Okay, that's just lost the balance. You're a little bit tired, whatever, as you slip in that last one. But Lance is on the turnbuckles, and we all saw his hand. He's like, come on, come to me. He had to call Ray to get up, and Ray comes over and has to give him another couple chop, whip him into the other buckles to then get to the spot. It was like within the minute, too, he goes for the big kicks in the corner. He muffed that up, had to redo that spot. Fair enough, it's fine. These things happen. You get slip ups and stuff. But the last one where he slipped off the top rope on the before he had to climb back up to do that Rana thing. It's like, are you concussed? Have you done something? You hurt something? Because if something's wrong, he's not. Because usually you don't see him make little mistakes like this. Right. So to see so many in rapid succession, it just made me a little bit concerned that he wasn't quite on his game. And then I don't want to see guys taking those kind of risks with big spots like that. You make one small mistake, you're going to be paralyzed, or worse, the guy that you're doing it with is going to be paralyzed, and it's your spot. So, I get that was the only thing on that. Because again, he is a fantastic athlete. I do love seeing the flippy stuff. It's great, and it was a great juxtaposition against the skills of Lance Archer and the stylistic clash of that giant fucking thug smash style versus speed, agility, dexterity. It wasn't Rey Fénix in his smoothest, fluentest, best this evening. That's all.
True. No, and I can't argue against that. I'm going to say the proof's in the pudding. You can't watch the match and say that there weren't botches and things like that. Maybe they just don't take me out of it as much. He's never been that, like, I'm going to say he has had those great smooth matchups, but you can say you watch more often than not, he does tend to just sort of get a little too overzealous, a little too, into things, has to reset up, has to calibrate and get it into things. Doesn't happen all the time. It's hidden a lot more in the tag matches and things like that. And in a big showcase main event like this is obviously going to be a little bit more easy to, not.
It's more noticeable.
More noticeable, yeah.
It's a little bit more noticeable, and it's more jarring because there aren't 4 other guys also crisscrossing and action packed and whatever. And it's different in a case like when he did the fly over the top rope, and he throws himself with reckless abandon, and he hit Archer made the catch, but he still managed to whack his entire base of the bottom of his back into the top of the barricade. Like that kind of botch, that's not a botch. That's him wrestling, man. Like that's his style. That's how he does it. Yeah. It was, and again, I don't have a problem with like, oh Christ, I just missed that kick, but I have to hit it for him to go down, so I gotta throw the kick again. He's gonna have to take it to go down. Those things are passable, but it was the add-on, and then still going for like the run halfway across the top rope to kick him in the head. It's like, if you're really off balance and you are something's jarred up there, but you're just trying to finish the show, like, please don't do it this way. Just go then to mat wrestling and finish it, because you're going to get really fucking hurt. And then That'd be
no,
bad.
fair.
You
I'd always
sometimes
wanna
only get
err-
one bad injury. So
Like I said, I always want to err on the side of caution for sure. Definitely don't want to see anybody getting hurt. So you'd hope that he was in the best mindset, and that none of that kind of stuff happened on the show, and hopefully it wasn't going to happen in the future. And hopefully he was doing fine, and was not able to pick up the victory, though. Lance Archer did eventually catch him on the top rope with a blackout, putting him away and solidifying his spot in the ladder match. I kind of figured he was potentially going to be moving on. I thought it'd be interesting to have Ray in the ladder match, but with Pentagon already there, he seems to maybe be filling that slot, and Ray can be added to something else, I guess, or maybe not even be on the Revolution card, which is crazy.
I was going to ask you if you right result or not. Yeah, I thought it was for the same kind of reasons. You give Panda to somebody now that he can focus on beating up because, hey, you took my brother out of this thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to beat him up in this instead. Maybe Ray can do something with Pac. If not at Revolution, maybe
That's
they can
true.
throw them in a tag match next week against somebody to.
Yeah, there's a battle royal at Revolution too. They could be the choose to just be a tag team if Penta's doing the singles thing for the ladder match. They could easily just be thrown into that for extra.
Oh yeah, part of the battle royal.
Yeah. So yeah, that could be a fine spot for him as well, at least to get some eyes on him going forward. But hey, not a bad main event from him and Lance Archer. I enjoyed it at least. So you can say not the best of the best from the Dynamites over the years we've got here of AEW, but still,
Romeo can't fuck Juliet every week, man.
That's right, exactly. So we will see if he fucks her next week when Shaq takes. And
sorry, the week after that, he's getting anal, so it's going to be awesome at Revolution.
Oh boy, wait till you see that. We'll have to find out what happens here on the blow by blow of AEW Dynamite. But yeah, like that about wraps things up for us.
I told you I was tired.
That's totally fair, right, buddy? Let everyone know where they can hear us.
You can listen to this. Well, you listen to us on 88.7 The River, local radio at its best all the time now. And Low Blow Radio show is on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock. And you can catch it on the archives on 887theriver.ca. And you can catch this podcast on podcast version for audio only on all of the podcast things coming out of sounder.com.
That's right. And here on YouTube, thank you for watching. You can subscribe to our channel, lets you know when we have new videos come out. If you ring the little bell, it definitely will notify you when the new videos come out. Like this video, it will get us working into the algorithm and get us more boosted into the eyes of the wrestling world here on YouTube, get us bolstered into the wrestling community. Get into the comments as well. Let us know what you thought of AEW Dynamite tonight. And we'll be back with more fun here on Low Blow Radio Podcast.
Adios, amigos.